Okay, so up until this point, we've been forecasting covers or the number of customers that are going to come into our restaurant or hotel or pizzeria or whatever we've got going on, right? So what we need to do is figure out a way to convert those customer counts or covers into a dollar amount, right? So that we use something called average check to do that. So we convert our customers into revenue. It helps us to do our budget and control costs. If we know we're going to have 100 people coming in and each one of those people are going to spend on average $20 each, we know we're going to have $2,000 worth of revenue coming in. We know our food cost is 25%. We know how much money we can spend on food, right? So average check is the amount of revenue the average person generates on a check. This doesn't mean that every single person that comes in is going to spend $20. Some might spend 10, and some might pay 30, right? So it's an average amount that you can apply to all of them. So at the end of the day, once you serve your 200 customers, you should have worked out to about an average of $20 a customer or whatever, right? So we calculate the average check by, we can calculate the average check by server to identify strong servers, or average check by day, week, meal period to inform them when we offer promotions. So, for instance, why would we calculate average check by server? Well, we can figure out that Susie has an average check of $34 when she's working, and Bob has an average check of $15, right? We can see who's making us more money, and therefore we can schedule the people that are going to make more money, or we can find out why Bob isn't getting the same average check, and we can give him some upsell training or something to help him get to that point, right? So to calculate average check, we simply take the revenue for a period and then we divide by the number of guests for that period. So a couple caveats here. I generally, in my experience, like to calculate average check based on meal period. So I wouldn't just take how many people came into a restaurant all day and applied that to the revenue we got for all day, right? Because we're going to have a different number of people coming in for breakfast as we are for lunch and for dinner. Especially if you're in a hotel, you know what that's like. You'd be dead for dinner, right? And breakfast, you're booming. So I would always want to calculate my average check based on my meal period. So what was the revenue for breakfast that day? And then how many guests did we have that day, right? So as an example, first example we've got here. Over the past 4 Mondays, the restaurant has served a total of 1,104 guests for lunch and brought in $12,385. From those 4 periods. What's the average guest check for Monday lunch during this period? So we have $12,385 that we got for all 4 periods, and we had 1,104 customers. So we had an average check of $11.22. Now, if we think that 200 guests are going to come in for lunch on the next Monday, then we can take the 200 multiply times 1122 to figure out what we think we're going to get for revenue that next Monday, right? So we use average check as a control tool, and it changes much over time. A manager should research why and correct problems and reinforce results. So average check gives us a baseline. Then we can build on that. We can say, okay, let's upsell this customer, because upselling a customer, they're already here. We're already paying for labor. We've already paid for a roof and all our utilities and everything. Can we get an extra $1 per customer? Can we upsell them a dessert or an appetizer or split an appetizer between 2 people, right? So this is a great way to see if we are generating more revenue when we don't have more seats, right? We can get more dollar per person coming into the restaurant if we're already full, right? We can maximize that revenue that we're getting in, right? And then we can use the average check to forecast our revenue, right? So if we think that we've got 200 guests coming in and we have an average check of $11.22, we can apply that to those 200 people and figure out how much revenue we're going to have for that period, as I've got in the next example coming up, right? So a restaurant with an average check of $47.58 forecasts 3,700 guests next month. How much revenue should we expect that next month? Well, we take our 3,700 guests, multiply times 47.58, and we're going to get a total revenue of $176,046. So now we have our forecasted revenue for that month. We can say, okay, we have a 25% food cost. We can take that out of that revenue, and we know how much money we can spend on food for that month, right? Now, this question or this example is very simplified, right? It's taking an average check for all of meal periods, all every day throughout the month. Generally, you would build a spreadsheet to calculate your average check based on covers for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then add all those up. And then you'd have an idea of, okay, what food can we spend on breakfast for the month? What can we spend on lunch for the month? What can we spend for dinner? If you have a 3 meal a day outlet. Okay.